this economy, you've got to appreciate what you got. You go, girl! Get those stretches in! Oreo, my sibling, kept asking me if they could wrap my car some funky way, and they kept saying they wanted to do something crazy. And I think knew that I'd be the only person closest enough to them that would agree to do something crazy, because I'm all for different, and anyone that knows me may know that. So I think the first part of it was they couldn't find any of the colors that they wanted in stock for the vinyl to wrap the car. We'll have to get them in on this. They ended up settling on the colors that you see behind me, which are super psychedelic, if you haven't already seen. Unfortunately, without the sun, you can't see the full effect of some of them. But in a lot of the footage I've taken in the process, hopefully you'll see it. It was quite the process. It's quite long, and what I loved about the whole thing was that it forced me to make time to take care of something that I have, my little beater. And it was time well spent with my sibling during the whole process. I learned something new while I was doing it, while Murph did basically everything. I was kind of more or less a bystander that would lend a helping hand here and there. You know, we started with the cleaning, and then we had to get the rust off in certain spots, and obviously there are locations of rust that are beyond us. You can't get rid of that. It's an old car. We got about a 250K on this bad boy, and she's gonna keep going. And a lot of people, when we started wrapping, because we only had enough time to do little sections here and there, and while doing those sections, well, at first I think people just thought I had parts for the car, that like replacement doors, and when they found out it was vinyl, they're like, why would you wrap a 2008 Honda Fit that's rusting away? Because of the money you put in, etc. And it's like, why not? Life is too short, and it's still a great car. It gives you the ability to just replace things on the go, whereas these new computerized gizmo cars, you're kind of screwed once you get to a certain point. Like, your everyday Joe won't be able to fix things that they used to be able to. I love my Fit, and we're gonna drive this thing till it can't drive no more. And unfortunately, I think the engine's gonna keep going, and body's gonna fall apart. But in the meantime, we got this masterpiece to fly with. So, two really rewarding things from this whole process was, well, one, what Oreo Murphy has decided to do with the design. They were kind of stringing me along the whole way, and I had no idea what it could be. I knew that they were going to be putting wings on, and they mentioned something about the Bible, Christianity, and it still went over my head, as I've recently been introduced to the Bible, its teachings and wisdom. And I hate to say it, but I needed Jesus. But I digress. What it has ended up being, which we're making a super fun social media account for, is a biblically accurate car. Meaning, like, leading off of biblically accurate angel. Because our perception, and I had no idea about this before this, by the way, our perception of what an angel is a soft human with wings on their back. But that's not how it is depicted at all. It's actually an eyeball with a bunch of wings around it. It's actually kind of creepy, which is why it's paired with be not afraid. Like, don't be scared of what you don't know. So, it's pretty fun. Oreo, to cap it off, gave me this keychain that says, it's essentially the art of this biblically accurate angel that says, be afraid, be very afraid. And so the second point, or first I should say, that all encompasses feeling like this is a guardian angel now. And it's super fun just to drive and see what people's reactions are to it, because it's kind of a mix of confusion and enjoyment. And so far, I'm finding that little boys seem to enjoy it the most. Specifically, or at least that's just what I'm noticing. So, point number 2 of why this was such a rewarding experience. Because this was such a prolonged, oh man, I didn't even touch on, in the middle of Oreo doing all of this, my car was at Honda for 2 months because of all things, my ignition cylinder stopped receiving the key, and therefore I couldn't even turn on my car. So I had to get it towed from a place I had breakfast that one morning to Honda, and they told me it could take even a year to get that part. So we had it pretty much, I would say 80% done, the wrapping. And then it was stuck at Honda, and here I was thinking I was gonna have to get a new car. And all of the wrapping and the work that Oreo had done into designing and putting this thing together would be all for naught. But the experiences and memories made would have lived on. But alas, I did get a new ignition cylinder, and my car is behind me. There was just a lot of things that kept trying to stop us from completing this. The one I'm trying to get to is the one night day that turned into night. I was helping Oreo with it, and I think it was one of the front doors, and so you have to take off the mirror in that process, and I brilliantly lost one of the nuts in the door. So we tried so many things. We tried a magnet on a rod to try to fish it out, which, you know, of course, as you're sticking it down the side of the door, it's getting stuck to the door, so that doesn't work. We tried trying to pry it from a hole underneath, like get it through the hole. That didn't work. We had headlamps, like it was getting late at night, we had mosquitoes biting us, and then we even tried a camera my dad just happened to have. It was one of those cameras you put down for plumbing, it has a light on it, so we tried sticking that down and like performing surgery below the door because there was no other access point to get this freaking screw. I am telling you. And I knew I had work the next day. It was painful. We both had things to do the next day. It was I think probably 12 a.m. by the time we were done getting that sucker back in place. I was actually at a talk around this same time that touched on suffering. It sounds bad, but it actually can be a really good thing, and I think it's only a good thing when so suffering alone is painful, but suffering together is weirdly like the best thing in the world.